In my opinion, photography shouldn't be as difficult as probably it used to be. Now you can literally find cameras and gadgets that we keep in our pockets everywhere that we move around, be it our phones, be it a lot of other gadgets that probably you may think of. And that informs what you're going to be doing today, all right? So if previously you needed to have this kind of a camera, today you're going to throw it away. I literally don't think you guys really thought I was going to throw this away. So in that case, I'm going to gently settle it somewhere, all right? And we are going to use our phone. Yes, our phone, you heard me right. And of course, an app that's going to help us to be able to use manual features with our phone camera. In addition to the app that we're going to be using, you're going to have, of course, photography always comes with a background. Yeah, product photography for that matter. You're going to be using this background again. I'm saying again because I've used this in a previous video. So if you're familiar with a product photography tutorial that I put up on my channel a few days ago, you are definitely familiar with this. So this is exactly what you're still going to be using today in this tutorial. The next thing is, of course, we need a light of a sort. We're going to be using this continuous light. It's typically a simple desk lamp that you can find in any hardware store or any store that deals in lighting for household and all that. So you can get yourself something like this so that you can follow through the process. It's going to be very simple and interesting. One thing that I need to also talk about is that the bulb in this lamp is kind of diffused in nature. That's one thing that I really love, and I would recommend you always get for product photography based shoots. You need to have diffusion of a sort, and this bulb comes in a shell that has a lot of diffusion in it. So it's not that kind of a clear glass covering of a bulb, but this has diffusion of a sort. It looks foggy inside, and it helps disperse the light that we're going to be using. It's going to help us wrap it around our subject or our product for the shoot. So let me quickly put this back in and set it aside. Okay, so the next thing is the product or the subject or the elephant in the room that we are going to be shooting pictures of, and that is on my right hand side. I'm going to pick them up over here. We're going to be using Rode microphones. I have two of them. I have the Video Mic Go and the Video Micro, all from Rode, and together to give some complementary colors, or let's say anything that will give it the kind of feel so that they all feel together, is this SD card case that I bought for my SD cards. I have a number of SD cards, and of course you need something to protect them because they are in plastic. So I have this that also has colors that you can see or you can find on this, and that's what I'm going to be using for our shoot today. And this tutorial is quickly going to show you that you don't necessarily need a lot of things, the high end and all the things that bombard our minds and all that. You don't need all of them. Trust me, you don't. This is going to be a proof for you to see that you can typically take pictures of products and make them as simple in the process and still come out with wonderful and high-end looking images. All right, so let's get into it. Oh, I forgot. In addition to the lights, I need to also further diffuse the lighting that's going to come out of the desk lamp. So in addition to the bulb being diffused, I'm going to be using these diffusive sheets. They are typically printing sheets or printing kind of paper sheets that I'm going to be using for further diffusion for my lighting. The bulb itself, as I said before, has a lot of diffusion in its nature, but I'm going to be needing something like this or these, so that in case I need to further diffuse the light, maybe the light is still specular, I'm going to need something like this or these again to further diffuse them to make it look even more pleasing and more wrapping on the product. So let's get right into the set building, and you see how far we can go with a few things and still come out with wonderful looking and epic images. let us get straight into the app and let's see what the app has for us and see how best we can use it to its capabilities to help us get wonderful images that you might get using a DSLR camera or any professional camera at all. Let's get into it. Okay, to the app that we are going to be using for our product photographs, let me introduce you to Manual Cam, which I think basically is best even if you are not so much into photography. Probably you haven't used a DSLR camera of any sort. This is so basic, it's so simple that you enjoy using it. It has a few things that you would need that you will also find on the DSLR camera, on the Pro camera. So let's get right into the features that this application has. Over here up there on the top left corner, you're going to see the grid. What the grid is going to help you to achieve is that you're going to have the grids helping you or assisting you to position and compose your subject right there in the frame as much as you can. All right, so you can go through the several other grids that you can have over there. Okay, following up onto the right hand side, as we are moving towards the right, we have the flash. Because we're going to be using manual exposure, we cannot fully have the flash also useful at that point. We are not really going to need it because we are going to introduce a continuous lighting for our product photographs. All right, so we're not going to need the flash over there. The next app is the self timer that you can change to maybe 10 seconds, or probably you want to have 3 seconds before you take that image, or instantly you can set it to that. And this will help you if, for instance, you are in a group picture, you want to take a selfie and want to have a little bit of time before the photograph is taken. You can set it to any given particular number of seconds that you want. The last icon is the toggling of the camera from front to back. All right, so that's about that. Down here is the scene modes, or the several modes that you can find in this app. If you want to have more features, you have to buy the Pro version of this app. We're not going to need all the full features because we're basically going to use the few things that are at our disposal immediately we download the app. So we have in the scene mode, we have auto, we have sports, we have AR, and we have high dynamic range as well. Okay, so the next on the right is the white balance. And basically white balance has to do with the tints and the temperature. If you want daylight temperature, which is kind of cool in nature, the white balance is going to help you achieve that. If you want to have tungsten or the warm tones, the white balance is going to be what to help you to achieve all that in an image. So we have several over here. If it were to be a Pro DSLR or a Pro camera, you could have been able to manually and meticulously move them gradually, or move the tones gradually as much as you want. But for a basic app like this, you're going to have various default modes or white balance options to choose. So this is incandescent, we have fluorescent, and as you see, as I go through all of them, once I hit on it, it gives us what is supposed to be what it says. All right, so daylight looks like this. You have cloudy daylight, and it moves on like that. Twilight, we have warm fluorescent, and the last one is auto white balance lock, to lock it at auto white balance. But we're going to keep ours today for our tutorial at auto white balance because the kind of light that we're going to be using, the continuous light in the desk lamp, is kind of warm in tone, and we cannot typically find the very right mode or the very right white balance option amongst these. So we're going to be using the auto white balance so that we can make this as basic as possible. So let's get right into the shoot and see what we can do with this simple but amazing app. Towards the right hand side, after the white balance options, is the auto focusing options or the manual focusing options, basically the focusing options. First we have the auto focus, and we have focus infinity. After it, we have the macro or the focus macro, which we are going to use because we're going to be taking pictures of products which has details. So we're going to be using the macro capabilities of this app for our focusing, and it follows like that. There's focus locked if you want to lock your focus, and there's focus continuous picture So it goes on and on like that. Next, again onto the right is the ISO options that has to do with exposure. So you see over here is an icon of a padlock which is unlocked, which is going to simply help us lock our exposure. If we set our exposure settings, we can lock it in so it doesn't change before we take the image. And if we want to equally continue to adjust our exposure and still have it locked, you can keep this padlock icon locked like this and move through the exposure options. All right, like this. The slider over here helps us to reduce the exposure and to open up the exposure as we want it to be. All right, okay, and equally we can be choosing options for the ISO over here that has to do with the sensitivity of the image sensor in our camera, that small image sensor in our phone, to become as sensitive as we want. All right, okay, so basically that's that. And there's the auto exposure option. If you don't want to manually pick up your exposure settings, you can have the application to think through and use its own wisdom looking at the scene for you. But best to always go with is to choose the exposure locked setting and manually move through your exposure settings. All right, use the slider just like I am using. All right, simple as that. Down below where we find the shutter release button is the zoom in slider and the zoom out slider. All right, so it helps us to zoom in into the scene. And as I've spoken about, this is just the shutter release button or the icon that you can use to take the image, or if you're shooting video, which is the next icon on the right. But I forgot about this. Let me quickly bring this in. This is when you want to review the images that you want to look at. So there's the review icon, so you click on this and it sends you into the images or the photo library and shows you the pictures that you've taken so far. Coming back towards the right is the last icon, which is the settings icon, which can help you further change the various settings of the app. And just as you see over here, it says get pro version, so that you can unlock limitation and remove the ads. Mostly with apps that we download freely on Google Play Store, it comes with a lot of adverts and a lot of distractions. So if you want to get rid of that and professionally use this app and have a lot of features without limitations, buy the pro version and you can fully use this to its best capabilities. But as I said, for the purpose of our tutorial, I'm going to use the most basic features that we have existing in this app. So let's get right into the set and take our images. Alright, so if you can bear me out, you have actually attested to it. You've been a spectator to how easily we can make the most simplest things to come out as epic as possible. So if you like this video, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and turn on the post notification button to be always notified of new videos and future videos that I'll be posting on my channel here. Of course, they're going to be very interesting and very, very informative, just like we had in what we did today. See you soon, and I'll get back to you. See ya.